What's up, 444? This is the DFS MVP podcast for Week 16. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. I'm here with Davis Mattek and Pat Kerrane, as usual, the whole gang back together. I was out sick last week, and I tuned in to listen to these guys, and I swear Davis sounded like sicker than anybody that I have ever heard. But just
I was unwell.
Yeah, it did not sound that great.
Is that a comment on the Stone Smart conversation? Is that what you mean?
yeah. The Stone Smart, that was a lengthy
Stone Smart versus Brenton Strange. I've never felt dumber as a game was happening. Just being like, this was obvious.
Prior to the slate, I commented in the 444 Discord. Who was the other? There was a late tight end that popped up. That was
Jordan Akins.
Jordan Akins. Akins popped up, and I was like, I think he's a better play than Brenton Strange, because people aren't going to play Akins, they're going to play Brenton Strange, and it's like Brenton Strange, 14, I forget how many it was, targets, but it was just
I think he had 12 targets. 11 of them were first read, too. He was like a key part of their game plan.
Yeah. I was like,
he has a target share north of 20% when Evan Ingram is not on the field.
Yeah, he's just Evan Ingram again. Great. No,
turns out Evan Ingram,
no issues.
Targets merchant. So why can't Brenton Strange be that?
I mean, that's absolutely true.
Honestly, now I'm like, let's go the other way. Let's give them a real tight end, and see what happens. Because
Brock Bowers on the Jaguars. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. I just thought with Mac Jones, it was like, well, he wasn't that great in every game without Evan Ingram before. He had hit or miss, and then with Mac Jones at quarterback, obviously they're not gonna be that great. So regret there. How are you guys doing with best ball stuff? I know, I'm sure. I know Pat has at least one Best Ball Mania team remaining. All my Best Ball Mania teams are out, so I'm relying on other contests, DraftKings, Millie, etc. But what do you guys have left? Anything that you're excited about?
I'm the only person in my DK Millie pod with Gibbs. 8% owned. I have one DK team left. I have 16 teams left in various things on Underdog. I have a team with 18 players who are not on IR or out in the big dog. All 18 even Greg Dulcich technically played 7 snaps for the Giants last week. So all my guys are going to be on the field this week.
Oh, that's amazing.
Aren't there I thought there were 20 players on
Underdog in the big dog.
Oh, the big dog only. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm thinking of the big board, which was the pre-draft stuff. They had the 20 round stuff. Yeah, big dog is different. Okay.
I have a big dog through, but it's got Montgomery on it, so that's kind of a little bit of a hit there. And then
sucks.
I have my DK Millie that I got through is one of 2 teams with Gibbs, so we're rooting for Gibbs this week. Best Ball Mania team's okay. I was telling you guys before we started that Gus got there on one of the team. I was like, this team's got 4 quarterbacks and needs Gus Edwards to hit its lineup, so don't have to worry about this one.
So frustrating. And as I was saying, I had a lot of Gus, not like a ton, but I think I had like 12 or 15% or something in best ball. All those teams eliminated, of course, prior to this week. And I'm facing Gus in several of my best leagues, including both DK Millie Maker pods. One of them, 2 teams have Gus. Just frustrating as hell to see that 44-yard, like the 2 touchdowns, okay, I guess that's like the bet you made on Gus Edwards. That's why I drafted him, is I thought they're going to run a lot, I'll get touchdown. 44-yard rush was not supposed to be in the cards for Gus Edwards.
No,
so that was frustrating. Hopefully, we each get some teams into the various finals next week, and we can talk about it then. Should we get into this DFS slate?
Man, there are a lot of bad games this week.
There are a lot of bad games. And I'm here. I guess I should post my article into YouTube chat in case you guys want to follow along. I'm going to be going in the order of my article, which is up at 44.com. It's on the homepage. If you go to 444.com.
Is it like $5 for the rest of the year? I think
inexpensive. Yeah, go to the plans page there. It's, I don't know. I think that might have been just a Thanksgiving deal, but regardless, it's like under $20. If you use promo code, I think it's YouTube or YouTube 25, you can find it in the description of this video if you want a discount on top of the already very reduced prices at 444. But I would recommend it, and I will be going in the order of my article on the homepage. So first game there is New York Giants at Atlanta Falcons. Davis, I'll start with you here. Do you like anybody from the Giants or the Falcons?
Yeah, I mean, Drake London, I think I was expected to see him have far like a much bigger ownership projection than he does have. It seems like right now what I'm seeing is people are going to be willing to play Penix naked just because he's 4,500 and the matchup is really good. People are going to be willing to play Bijan Robinson, although not as much as you'd think because the chalk is so strong at running back. Before we did this, I ran 150 teams sorted by sim ROI. I got 5 running backs returned, the 4 chalk guys, with 1 Alexander Madison team being the 5th guy. So Gibbs, Chase Brown, James Conner, and Chuba Hubbard with no Bijan, no Barkley, none of these other guys. So that's pretty interesting. And I think the question you've got to ask yourself is, are they turning to Penix because they think their chance of winning the division and winning a playoff game is better with Penix executing something closer to a GTO offense with play action and deep passing and stuff? Or are they going to actually keep it pretty similar? A lot of running, mostly a stationary quarterback. I'm curious your guys' take. I'm workshopping this take. None of these coaches want to get fired. They would very much prefer to win the division, not get fired, roll into next season, probably with Kirk Cousins not on the roster. They see Michael Penix Jr. in practice every single day. They probably think he can spin it. It's a pretty ballsy move in the middle of a playoff race to bench a quarterback making $38 million a season. They have the tiebreaker on the Buccaneers. So it's like they're like 40% to make the playoffs. So it's a pretty ballsy move to bench Kirk Cousins.
It is. So you're speculating that they're going to throw it, like they're going to show off with their new young quarterback?
Show off is probably the best, but this is not going to be. Do you remember the game that Jordan Love started at Arrowhead when Rodgers missed with a concussion once, and he literally handed the ball, like they were never even close to competitive. They just accepted they were going to lose. They were like, we are just handing the ball off. We're not even going to try. I don't think we're getting that. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it'll be an expanded version of the Cousins offense.
I could see that being the case at some point this season. I would be surprised if they immediately, like the guy's first game. I mean, I completely agree. This is a coaching staff that's worried about its own survival at this point. But that's why we're seeing Penix, is because Cousins played so badly against the Raiders that they had to make a move. Like, he forced their hand. I think if he plays like just a little better, he's still their quarterback. They won the game, right? They're technically in the playoff race. I mean, we have them at 33% to make the playoffs. I would bet the under, just because like it seems like things are falling apart. You know, you're moving to a rookie quarterback, but they are technically still alive. But I think they're probably, the way you save your job is Penix looks good, right?
Yes.
Or maybe Penix doesn't look bad. So you have to, I think you want to limit his opportunities a little bit and set him up for success as much as possible. But this is a team that's been heavily tilted to the run all season. You know, they've not really messed around here. We're coming off a minus 21% pass rate over expected. They had a 61% expected pass rate against the Raiders. Pretty normal, right around average. They ran 60% of the time. They had a 40% pass rate in that game. They've had below 50% pass rates frequently. Three different times this year. They have below 60% a bunch. They haven't had a 70% plus since back when they played the Bucs the first time. So I think we will see a run first attack here, which makes Bijan interesting. And Bijan's been really good, like especially down this back half of the season. He's been pretty good. London, I do like some, just because I think he can consolidate. I was looking at the first read stuff. Now that we got the new quarterback, you know, like the connection that Mooney has with Cousins isn't going to help him. London is at a 23% first read target rate, which is 96th percentile. So I think from like Penix comes in, he executes like a balanced game plan, maybe a run first, but not extremely run heavy game plan. He gets the ball to London. London's a pretty safe bet for targets, I think. But I think Bijan's sneaky interesting because he's I think he's going to get fed here.
Do either of you have any idea Penix's tendencies in terms of dumping it off to a running back?
He did a lot at Washington, but they ran like an air raid spread with Dylan Johnson, who's a really good pass catching running back. So he did there. I would not call him a check down. Like he is the type of guy who like trusts his arm. Like you're gonna want him. He is like capable and willing of making like tight window Darnold is actually a good kind of comp in terms of like fitting it into windows, and like you're not having to hide his arm strength or accuracy or anything like that. Not to say that he won't. I mean, I think he's actually a bit more cerebral. You also have to remember Michael Penix Jr. is almost 25 years old. Like he's played a lot of football. He has a lot of, I think he had over 1,000 dropbacks in college, which is a lot.
Yeah.
So this is not, it maybe kind of Jaden Daniels-y in terms of like, doesn't seem to be overawed by the game or anything. I mean, he's started college football playoff games and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. He hung in the pocket a long time. A high percentage of his yards in college came on 3+ yards. 3+ seconds in the pocket. So the Darnold comp, I think, makes a lot of sense. We're seeing Darnold that way this year. And then he had a pretty high ADOT from a clean pocket, 9.1, and then a really high ADOT when he was under pressure of 15. So I don't know that we're going to see. I'm not sure exactly how much he'll check down, but I think his general archetype is going to be like kind of true pocket passer, standing back, looking for shots downfield.
Okay. So maybe we can expect like, I mean, if Sam Darnold is the comp, maybe Aaron Jones type of like pass.
He also might run. He ran a 4.5 at the combine, and when he was at Indiana before he transferred, he did scramble around and run a little bit. But he had 3 separate season-ending injuries in college, and his coaches were basically like, enough, no more.
Okay.
Don't.
It's not just his coaches. His kept clean scramble rate was 1%, which is extremely low.
Yeah,
is the lowest in the class of 2024 by far. I would be surprised if he was a willing scrambler. He would be playing very differently than he was at Washington.
Would you take the over or the under on 26.5 pass attempts?
Hard over. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
That'd be, for me, hard. I think, it's one of those things where if they're comfortable, if they're up 10 and they're kind of cruising, I mean, you probably want to test if you're, think about it, if you're the offensive coordinator, you're like, well, shit, we have this really easy schedule. They play the Commanders in week 17 is like, it's a tough game, but they have the Panthers and then the Giants here. Those are basically wins.
Yeah.
You're going to want to be like, well, let's try some stuff. Let's see, can he hit Drake London on these, corner routes and stuff. I would take the over for sure.
You said 26.5?
Yeah.
I would take the over on that. I mean, Cousins has hit over 26 in all but 3 games this year. So I don't think it'll be like he had 17 attempts against the Raiders. I think we'll see things open up relative to that. But I think it won't, I would take the under on probably 29.
Okay. It's kind of in that ballpark. So I'm just kind of, I guess I'm debating whether Penix himself is a good play in tournaments. It sounds like a pretty reasonable play at 4,500. For me, I would always want to stack him. Do you guys have any strong stance on are you stacking Penix? Would you just play and make it at 4,500?
I've got a nuclear take here.
All right.
Kyle Pitts, man.
Oh God.
Ownership is going to be so condensed to tight end this week. I think 5 guys might take 90% of the ownership at tight end this week. Bowers, McBride, Sinnott, Strange, and Laporta. Kyle Pitts sucks, obviously, but dude, I mean, Kerrane, you like coined this. He's a big play tight end. He's a splash play. He just runs up the seam.
He does, but he's 3rd percentile in open score. So it would be nice if he was running up the seam, not with a defender right on him. He's 11th percentile in receiver rating, so he's not doing much after the catch. He gets doubled a decent amount, 80th percentile in double coverage.
Imagine the defensive coordinator who's calling that.
I know, right?
That guy should be fired.
Well,
How does he double cover himself?
I guess it's like you're gonna try to get these deep routes on the seam routes and stuff. Like we're just not gonna let you have that. You're gonna have to dump it up underneath it, I guess is what's happening. But So like I said, I'm looking at the first read target rate here because it's like, what's the game plan? Like, what have the game plans been versus what has Cousins been doing? Because Cousins has played pretty bad for him this year, but he's still like, if you look at his season-long numbers, he's still like pretty solid. And he's a lot more solid than you'd expect from a rookie in his first start anyway. And, he's working through his reads. Like Darnell Mooney has a 16% first read target rate. That's like not that great. It's not bad, but
I have a hot take. Mooney is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers merchant.
What does that even mean?
It was just those 2 games. It was just those 2.
Yeah.
He super patched the Buccaneers. And this like, oh my God, Darnell Mooney's who you needed. Like, no, he's actually still Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. But Pitts is at 10% in first read target rate. He's not been a part of the game.
Compare that to Noah Fant. What's Noah Fant's first read? By the way, Kyle Pitts next year, I mean, that's Noah Fant. He's round 14, and all of us idiots are going to have 20% of him.
I'm going to martingale that so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
I can't wait for like 10th round Mark Andrews because I'm going to do that too. I'll pull up Noah Fant, but my guess is that Noah Fant's is like 12. Like 10's pretty bad. So I'm just here. I got it. Noah Fant is 10. He's also 10. So it's a Noah Fant first read target rate.
Yep.
Not great.
All right. So Penix, Davis likes him with Pitts if he's playing him. Or Pat, are you playing any Penix this week either?
I think London. If I'm going to play Penix, I'd play London. Just bet on him, like feed the guy he trusts, like get the ball. Like if I see the first read open, I'm taking that, like let me just go to the guy that I know I can connect with. That's how I would want to play it because London's not going to be that highly owned. He's not super expensive, and he's really good. Yeah,
no, I think that's makes sense. I saw some bullishness on Darnell Mooney. So I mean, maybe he's just a Tampa Bay Bucks merchant. So maybe I should be scared of it. But there was some like for deep passing. I think is what I read is like this is a great matchup for deep passing. Could benefit Darnell Mooney in that sense.
Yeah, Mooney in 2 games against the Buccaneers, 4 for 86 and 1, 9 for 105 and 2. He has 2 touchdowns not scored against the Buccaneers this season and 1 100-yard game not against the Buccaneers.
Who was it against?
The Minnesota Vikings. So it was the Cousins revenge game.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that was a great game for Cousins. Yeah, that's or no, it wasn't a great game for Cousins.
It was not a great game for Cousins, but Cousins threw the ball in that game 37 times, and Ray McLeod also racked up 8 for 98 in that game.
Is Ray McLeod still a thing? Like I was looking at his numbers recently. It was like he's still more of a thing. Like I thought he completely fell off from the beginning of the year. He's still like sort of a thing.
He runs 90% of the routes. They just have stopped throwing the ball, and Kirk Cousins hasn't thrown a touchdown in a month.
Yeah. So maybe they all just need Michael Penix to revive them. Could be.
It's possible.
What about Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors for either of you?
I would rather play Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., Juwan Jennings. And maybe it's stupid because Neighbors smashed with Drew Lock or Tim Boyle, and Drew Lock is starting, but I don't know. Crane, can you talk me?
Drew Lock sucks, man. I'm out. I'm just completely out. This dude cannot play.
Yeah.
Fair.
Why are we playing Drew Lock? Play Tim Boyle. Play anybody.
Dude, don't you know about him rapping Young Jeezy on the sideline?
Yeah, didn't you see the clip?
This dude is a mess. I can't with Drew Lock.
Drew Lock earned so much goodwill with that. And he was actually a very fun college quarterback, but he played in the Big 12.
Sure.
It's like everyone looks good in the Big 12.
I always had the impression that Drew Lock was like Jameis Winston light. Like he's just going to be like kind of wild out there, just slinging it. It's going to be good for fantasy.
He's like a poor man's Mason Rudolph, though.
Right. Yeah, it's not ideal.
So bad. He's not good. I mean, the thing I would say, if I was going to make an optimistic case for the Giants offense, which I really don't want to do, but I will. Locke is so bad under pressure. So bad under pressure. The Falcons rank 30th in pressure rate. They're 29th in pass rush win rate. The Giants can't pass protect, and they have a quarterback who's terrible under pressure, but maybe there's just not that much pressure this week. The Falcons have had moments where they get to the quarterback, though, so it's not something I'm really that optimistic about. But if the Giants surprise, I think it's just because like the Falcons pass rush doesn't show up again, and he's able to just hang back and find neighbors. So there is a path to this being a functional offense, but not one that I'll be really playing.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this game?
No.
All right. Can move on to Cleveland Browns at Cincinnati Bengals. Browns have an implied team total of 19. That's tied for 27th on the slate. Bengals implied team total 27.5. That is third best on the slate. Pat, I will send it to you. Do you have any interest in anybody on the Browns? I'm sure you have some interest in some players from the Bengals, but I want to hear your thoughts on Browns and Bengals.
I don't really have any interest in the Browns. I think the backfield could get kind of messy. Do we know if Foreman's going to be active, or is that not going to be a thing?
I assume he will be.
Yeah. I was looking at the carries. He was like a carry less than Jerome Ford when they were active in the same games earlier in the season. That was like 5. He was active in 5 games.
They like swapped who was starting though. Remember?
But it's like Ford. I don't know. They just kind of just treat Ford like he's in the same role no matter what. Right. He's more the passing down guy. So I don't know. And my big concern is Dorian Thompson-Robinson is just he's been so bad. And like you look at when he was bad, it was week 7 when they were playing the Bengals. So you're like, oh, the Bengals, pretty soft matchup. Maybe he can be good against them. Well, he sucked against them. That's when we see him. So I'm bummed that we don't get Jameis this week. It would be a very fun setup if we had Jameis, lots of passing. But I think that the Browns are just going to be pretty gross on offense. I don't have any interest really. I am somewhat interested in the Bengals because they pass aggressively when they're ahead. They're not one of these teams that shifts to pounding the rock and trying to salt the game away. They're still very aggressive. So unless it's like a total blowout, which it honestly could be, but if they're reasonably close, if they're only ahead by 10, 14, I think we'll still get some passing volume. And so Jamar Chase looks like a strong play. Joe Burrow looks like a strong play. Chase Brown is like a really strong play, very safe with high upside. I think T. Higgins is playable, so it's all Bengals interest for me.
Yeah, sounds similar to my take on the game. Davis, do you have any different thoughts here? Do you like the Bengals, or do you like anybody on the Browns?
I like Chase Brown, like probably as much as Gibbs, which is like I think you could probably just lock those two and then just run your optimals this week. The only question you've got to ask is like, what do they do in the second half? Up 10 points or whatever. Like, is Chase still getting there? Is Higgins still getting there? Probably not. For example, I like Jefferson and St. Brown more than Chase this week just for game script stuff, even though they're not projected for as many points as Jamar Chase.
I can see that. I also do think though that the Bengals, like, they can't lose. They're not gonna, like, there's no upside or excuse for them kind of messing around here. Like
it's a huge result for them last night. Massive
result.
Swung like doubled their playoff probability.
So I think we could see that, like, they've been aggressive all year when playing from ahead, and like if they win by 25, like great, like the game they definitely won. Then I don't know that I'm that worried if they're up 10 in the second half. I'm worried if they're up 20, which they easily could be. But
that's what I was saying. 10 is not that much. Like, you don't really see until it's like end of game. I don't think coaches care that much about 10-point.
Yeah.
But yeah, once they get up 20, then more concern.
To me,
Jamar Chase wants to win the Triple Crown. He wants to lead the league, and I think he said that. He said he wants to, which is
okay.
That is cool.
I like that. Yeah, I'm more worried that this game's like a 3-quarter game. That would be the concern.
I mean, they had a 3-quarter game last week because of Will Levis's incompetence. Right. They lost. Weirdly, they lost the third quarter. It was not the fourth quarter they lost, but they in the last 2 possessions of the fourth quarter because of consecutive pick sixes.
And Burrow didn't play great. He had interception, and it's kind of
a
bit frustrating.
Yeah, I think we all just agreed that it sucks that we don't get Jameis for this game, because this could have been fireworks, man. This would have been such an exciting game with Jameis, and now it's just, man, let's the air out of the tires a little bit.
It sure does.
Anything else on this game?
Yeah. No.
That's kind of an interesting one. Detroit Lions at Chicago Bears. Lions have an implied team total.
This is the game of the week, I think. You got to figure out.
Lions applied team total 27. That's 4th out of 32 teams. Bears 20.5. That's 22nd out of 32 teams. Davis, have you figured out what you want to do with this game yet?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You don't see this all that often, where the home dog, their wide receivers, every optimal. Shit you not. I ran 300 teams through. Every team had Keenan or DJ Moore.
Wow.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, they're underpriced by about 1,000. Over 80% of the team's targets since Waldron got fired has been to those three guys. They never leave the field. DeAndre Carter plays like 4 snaps a game. Is Gerald Everett even on the team anymore? He doesn't play. It's only Kmet. They'd never play 21 with the 2 running backs out there. They don't have a fullback on the roster. So math, you just can't get away from it. The question you have to ask yourself is, does the Bears offense in the first half replicate in the second half? Because in these first halves, they've just been dead on their feet. It's like you can't imagine them ever getting a first down. And then they go to the locker room, and I don't know what they do. And then Caleb comes out, and like every game in the second half, he gets about 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if he does that, yeah, you're just the way salaries work. You're almost going to need one of these guys just because there's not a ton of value at wide receiver this week. I prefer Moore over Keenan just because he's better. Keenan will see more targets, but Moore will just be more efficient with the targets he does get. And then it does set up for Rome to be like crazy leverage, like Rome at 8% owned versus Keenan and Moore, like in the SPY, probably each 25% or more. Oh yeah. DeAndre Carter IR. I missed that. So they're, and then on the other side, obviously Gibbs is like the lock of locks. I probably will play Gibbs on every team I play because he should be 9,000 DraftKings dollars, I think. And he's 7,600. He's the highest projected skill position player by 4 points in my sheet, which is crazy. And then my call of the week is, I think the biggest fantasy beneficiary of Montgomery being out, other than Gibbs, obviously, is Laporta. Montgomery for a running back was pretty high in targets per route run and first read target share. Like when Montgomery's on the field, they like to get him the ball. So and there's like, how much bigger can St. Brown's role get? Probably not really that much bigger. J-Mo is like a real wide receiver, but like, I don't know. Is Jameson Williams a 25% target share guy? I don't think so. I think Laporta is probably, and Laporta is closer to the line of scrimmage. Now, Pat, I got to ask you this, man. It's Jared Goff's second game outdoors of the entire season. It's going to be about 20 degrees in Chicago. Jared Goff is from California, went to college in California. He has some of the smallest hands in the NFL. What are we thinking about Jared Goff outdoors?
There's not conditions though, right? We're just cold. It's just cold.
For a pretty California boy, those are conditions.
Those are conditions. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So I'm not that worried about it, especially because I like playing it through Gibbs. As you said, he's just the lock of locks. On the David Montgomery receiving angle point, a lot of that has come on play action. He's seen a ton of super high targets per out run of 31% on play action, which is why he has a 24% targets per out run this year, which is an elite mark for running back. That's running back 2. Gibbs is only at 19%, running back 17. So I think that the Montgomery absence, is going to open up carries, obviously, for Gibbs. They have the same carry share this year. It's not like Gibbs has been, a secondary guy. They've just been splitting. So he's going to take on a bunch more rushing work, and then he'll take on a bunch more play action work as a result. So I think this is a sneaky boost to Gibbs' receiving value, which is why this just makes it, he's such a strong play here. Really kind of robust profile. But Laporta, like if I'm wrong about Gibbs, it could be that like they give more of the rushing stuff to Craig Reynolds than we're thinking, and therefore more of the play action stuff to Craig Reynolds routes. I don't know if Craig Reynolds or whatever is going to get a bunch of targets. So the Laporta also has a high targets per out run on play action at 24%. He's only at 16% on all routes, so it's decent boost. So I think you get Laporta's interesting to me here. I like the Laporta call. The Bears stuff makes sense from the math perspective, but they've been so inefficient. The yards per route run for Moore, right? He's supposed to be the one we're excited about. He's at 1.37 yards per route run this year. That sucks. It's bad. Keenan is at 1.28, so he's worse, but like it's kind of the same. Rome's only at 1.21, but that's still in the same ballpark as those guys. He's got a 14.3 ADOT. He's their big play threat. The whole thing is that the Lions defense is completely out. They just lost McNeil, who's their best interior pass rusher. They don't have a pass rush. Like, I think Rome could eat here. You know, he's not going to get as many targets, but Caleb will have more time to throw. He'll be able to attack deep. You know, none of these guys have been playmakers all year. Why don't I take the rookie the deep threat rookie, you know, top 10 pick to finally put together a really strong game, especially if the field's going to be on the other two guys.
I almost wrote up Rome Odunze as one of my favorite low-owned plays on the slate. You guys have kind of nailed exactly what I'm thinking, which is awesome leverage on his two choppy teammates. He's still been he's not targeted the same as Keenan or DJ Moore, but still 36 targets over the past 5 games. So more than 7 targets per game. Pretty strong for Rome Odunze. Same great matchup against the Lions.
Just to give an idea, this isn't perfect because obviously some of the Lions road games are in a dome, but Jared Goff, 2022 to 2024, 23 games away from home, 25 games at home, 24.2 points per game at home, 16.1 points per game away. Now, obviously some of those were not outdoors. Some of those are probably
that's why it's not 12 points per game.
That's why
it's even worse.
But I will say this is something I actually believe and is often reflected in lines. Like if Jared Goff had to play outdoors in Green Bay in the snow, they would be dogs, despite every metric saying the Lions are 5 times better of a team than the Packers. Like this is something that the market has borne out in high leverage instances before in Jared Goff's career.
They have a 27.25 implied team total here, though. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, because there is no weather; it's just cold.
Right.
It's just cold.
And you can run on the Bears. The Bears, the thing with the Lions last week is they got forced to pass. You know, there was upside with the Lions last week because they never have to pass like that, but they did last week, and they play to win, man. Like maybe too much, you know, their onside kicking with way too much time left. But 83% pass rate last week is super high, is 4% above expected. So if the Bears really push them and they have to pass, they definitely will, but that's not what they are going to attempt to do in this game. Their plan A will be built around Gibbs in the run game against a bad run defense. So yeah, I think that I'm just not that worried about Goff as part of a play action attack on what should be a pretty effective rushing attack. He's not unless the Bears really put up points, it's not going to be on his shoulders.
Any interest in DeAndre Swift? Had a feeling Davis wasn't going to.
Maybe actually in the BR games and the draft games on Underdog, sure, because those are games where you get such insane levers pulled by ownership. A guy might be DeAndre Swift in the main BR might be on 100 teams total in the whole thing. Whereas it doesn't, salary cap DFS leverage doesn't work that way because 6% is okay, you're facing 1,000 combos or something, you know, it's just not as powerful.
Yeah. It is still leverage, I would say, on all of the pass catchers. So for a large field Millie, I would say he's playable, but yeah, not. And you kind of named it, Davis. Like there are those 4 or 5 chalk options that just look so much better than the rest of the field that it's hard to be overly enthusiastic about too many running backs.
Roshan's going to be back, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's also true.
I have no interest in Swift. He's a committee back who occasionally pops big runs, but usually gets stuffed.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Tennessee Titans at Indianapolis Colts. Titans implied team total of 19.5. That's tied for 24th out of 32 teams this week. Colts implied team total 23. That's tied for 11th out of 32 teams this week. Pat, have you any interest in any Titans or Colts players?
I think Ridley's pretty playable at 5,700. Mason Rudolph has been a lot better than Will Levis this year, like a lot better. And it really comes down to Levis has the highest pressure to sack rate in the league, and Mason Rudolph has been avoiding sacks well. He's a little less aggressive as a passer, but like, so what? You know, if you're keeping drives alive, just like not absolutely crushing your offense by taking sacks constantly, then you can have a lower ADOT. I'm cool. So I think Ridley's cool. I would be into Tony Pollard here, if not for kind of the ankle stuff. It makes me a little nervous. Like seeing him last week be on the sideline, was there near the goal line, and he's kind of like favoring the ankle. I was like, I don't know. Kind of a larger field play, I think, maybe. But Ridley jumps out as a pretty solid play. On the Colts side, I do think they're going to try to lean on Jonathan Taylor a lot here. He's playable at 6,900. I don't know if I'll go there. I'm kind of with Davis that the running backs that everyone else is going to play, I also kind of want to play. But I don't know. Richardson looks like he'll have some ownership. I think I might be done with the Richardson.
He's going to be the cash game quarterback, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm willing to do it, but, you know, I get it.
Talked about this with John Proctor on he was on the Cage Match this week, and he was like, I hate Anthony Richardson. And it's like, it's not personal, it's just he's so frustrating for DFS because he's just like he'll randomly spike a huge week, and then it's like it's hard to predict when that's going to be, and also he doesn't really bring along pass catchers with him, so you don't really want to play him anyway, but he projects so well point per dollar. He's one of the more frustrating players to get right in DFS.
27% of his designed rushes have come on the very first drive of the game since he came back from being benched for Flacco, which is like the coaching staff knows he can do it, and then they like forget. They're like, oh,
so weird.
Isn't that
weird because like bizarre? they're not tied to him. Like if he got hurt, like, you know,
I don't even Pat, I don't even think it's that specific. I literally think it's just they script those plays and then they just run like a normal offense. Like they just run like a, you know, they just run like a normal like spread, I guess like pro style. No spread. Yeah. They don't have him under center a ton. Yeah. It's just so funny. You just always think of coaches as like having everything under control, and they're just like us. They're just trying to get through. They're just trying to get through the day. You know,
Did you see the Peyton play sheet? Did you see his play sheet?
No.
It said run it with like exclamation, like so that he wouldn't forget, and then he did forget.
Sean Payton said that's interesting.
Sean Payton, yeah.
Anything else from this game?
Let me ask Pat to start sit. Let me be a YouTube commenter. Semifinals of my most important home league. I've never won it. My friends from high school and college mock me endlessly. They're like, this is your fucking job. I've never won it. And it's been existing for 20 years. I've never won. Jared Goff outdoors against the Bears or Anthony Richardson. These are my options.
No.
Come on. You know the answer.
I think it's I think it's
Goff. Oh, come on.
Goff in my sheet. I have got Goff. Let me pull it up. I've got Jared Goff for 18.7. Shit, Richardson is 19.2.
Richardson's probably the play, but God.
Yeah, I guess they project really, really similar, like within a fantasy point of each other. So, yeah, I don't know. But it seems like the way that you phrase that, like it's like you know the answer is.
I know it's Richardson, but if I lose because Richardson got 9 points and got benched, I'm just
like, problem is, Davis, that's like so likely to happen. Like your downside with Richardson is like 2/3 of the time you're just gonna lose because he got 9
because he literally got single digits. Yeah. Whereas like Goff probably outdoors in this spot is like never even getting close to what he did last week. But he's also like he's gonna get 16 like 70% of the time this game is played.
If you're asking me what I would do, I'd probably play Goff.
I'm a slight dog. I'm probably like a 46-54 dog.
Yeah.
I'd go as a dog. I'd go for the upside with Richardson.
I think you got to do.
Sounds like I'm the only one.
All right, there you go. There it is, Richardson. That is Davis Mattek home league corner for you.
I look forward to losing Davis.
Stars, they're just like us. They also don't know how to win their home league.
Speaking of start sits, Caden had this question. I see Davis already answered it. Kendra Miller, Jalen McMillan, Marvin Harrison Jr. in the flex. Davis says Kendra Miller. Are you on the same page, Bet?
It's
assuming Kamara's
it's so hard for me to not say Marvin Harrison.
I think he's ruled out.
Ruled out. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's Kendrick.
Yeah, that's probably the right call. I really like Marvin Harrison Jr.
I like Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot too.
But I like Marvin Harrison Jr. as a super fancy 6% owned DFS leverage play. Yes. Not as a guy I expect to get double-digit PPR points.
Yeah, fair. Pat, getting a lot of comments on. Did you just get your haircut?
People like your haircut.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I literally just got it. Like, it was the most recent thing that happened before I sat down in this chair.
Looks good. People appreciate you.
Thank you.
Looking nice for them. Okay.
Yeah. Traveling home tomorrow, so had to spruce it up.
And are we playing any Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, anything else?
Well, we should actually talk about A.D. Mitchell because it's kind of a thin slate. Still, it's week 16. The guy's still top 5 in the National Football League in targets per route run. He also seems to be legitimately a dick. Just like legitimately, like he basically eliminates his team's chance of making the playoffs with an idiot trick play, which to be fair, Shane Steichen should have never called, and then is like laughing. The reporters are asking about it, and he's like, yeah, playoffs. Hilarious.
I missed that.
Do you think that he's buddies with Burton? Because didn't they overlap at Georgia?
Buddy, the one he's buddies with is Pickens.
Well, that should be good. Get some dog in him.
I just don't. He doesn't have the dog though.
Yeah, Pickens needs to coach
some
dog.
Yeah.
But I think he and Burton might be
they would have been.
Your coaches are assholes too. Yeah.
They would have been. They would have been at Georgia together for 1 year.
For 1 year. Yeah. Mitchell, he does have 25% targets per route run, 23% first read target rate, 98th percentile there, 1.39 yards per route run. He's got a 15th percentile yards per target. So it's great. It's great.
He's really good at the point until the ball gets there. Until the ball gets there, he's Randy Moss.
Now imagine being a really inconsistent rookie and then having Anthony Richardson as your quarterback. What can we possibly count on with this guy? I don't think I can do it. Josh Downs.
Remember the thing that the scouts said about him was that he has type 1 diabetes and he mismanages it. He will frequently be outside of like the safe zone where his blood sugar is. Like he frequently will just be like basically like unable to be himself because he's not managing his disease properly.
He needs a Snickers. That's what you're saying?
Yes, quite literally. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Not ideal. It's just not ideal. I don't think I'm playing any of these guys. Like Josh Downs, I think is a really, really good receiver. I think he's their number one. But it's just like, even at 4,900, like Richardson is just so inconsistent. There's not gonna be a ton of pass volume. I think they'll want to run the ball. I think the Titans will want to run the ball too. Just like kind of a slog game environment potentially. So I've got Downs on some best ball stuff. I'm rooting for you, but I don't think I'm gonna play him in DFS this week.
I'm actually same page. I somehow have a lot of Josh Downs in my remaining best balls. Davis, he's playing any Downs, Pittman, etc. I mean, it seems like there's still upside there. Like I don't really want to play it, but better to have.
The only thing appealing about Mitchell is his salary, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think that does it for this game. Next game, another pretty interesting one, and I'll go to Davis first with this one. It's going to be Arizona Cardinals at Carolina Panthers. Cardinals have an implied team total of 25.5. That's tied for 6th of 32 teams this week. Panthers implied team total 21. That's tied for 19th out of 32 teams this week. Davis, who do you like on the Cardinals or the Panthers?
Connor is in that chalk grouping.
Yeah.
Kyler is like a corresponding strong play. Marvin Harrison Jr. is cheap. He's leverage on McBride. Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette is ruled out. So Coker is just going to be locked in 11 personnel. He's 4,200. Had the 83-yard touchdown on the busted coverage last week. His first read target share is not particularly high, but he's just like a Kayshon Boutte style body that's out there. Hubbard flop leg from last week, I think, is pretty appealing. Like, he'll be 5% less owned than he should be based on his projection because he busted so hard last week. The only I'll say this: tight end is very simple this week. If McBride scores, like Kyler said he was going to on Instagram, then he will be in the winning lineups because he's still getting 12 for 78.
Yeah.
With that. Yeah. I mean, they're to the point that they're now running the Kelsey shovel play to him because they're so desperate to get him a receiving touchdown. Should be able to do it here if they want to. But to your guys' point, Marvin Harrison Jr. is both leverage on like the third most owned running back and the most owned tight end. Can we get a 19-point game out of Marvin Harrison Jr. this week?
I don't even know if he has to be leverage. I think you could do Kyler doubles with McBride and Harrison here. This is exactly the type of spot that we would expect the Cardinals to be really efficient in through the air. They will run the ball effectively here. Carolina cannot stop the run, but they also can't stop the pass. And you can have play action stuff. You can run around a little bit. You can attack deep against the Panthers. Like, you can do whatever you want. So I could see this being a really nice game for Kyler. I like Kyler a lot. I like Harrison. I like McBride, even with ownership. Connor is a really strong play, like on lineups from not playing the passing game. I think be strongly considering him. Coker, I would also say, is probably like a little bit better of a player than I think you painted him. Like, we don't know, he's a rookie, but 2.06 yards per route run, like he's been really good.
Yeah, but take away an 83-yard busted coverage touchdown. It's not. I know, take away every player's good plays, but that was straight up a Quentin Johnston play.
So
like, straight up.
If you look at his expected yards per route run, just subbing in, this is doing exactly what you're saying. Subbing in a yards per target league average for his ADOT, he'd be at 1.65. So he's got a pretty solid
pretty
role.
Strong. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had been a slot receiver sub for Thielen, but last week Thielen was still in the slot and he was playing a ton.
Because Legette got hurt.
Yeah. So I think like to me, it's pretty bullish to see Coker being used like that on the outside. I expect him to be in a full-time role this week. So I think he's kind of interesting as a punt.
David Moore interested in it all? He was showing up in the optos as like a pretty good point per dollar play.
I just don't think Coker is going to be owned enough that you have to do it. I think Moore is 4,000, Coker is 42, and Coker is just like a way more interesting profile, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Fair.
Thielen also, I think, looks pretty good here. You guys, any interest in Bryce Young?
So the thing with the Cardinals is that since week 9, they've been much better against the pass. They're second best in EPA per dropback since week 9 to only the Eagles. You can run on them, though. And Young is coming off this horrible game. He's honestly, like, I know we're back in on Young now because he's not as bad as he was.
I'm really not. The results are just not that impressive. Like, I am in the sense of
good.
They should start him next week or next year, but like, he's not ever going to be that good. He's too small. He's too small.
He's too small. And he's like the thing where you like run around and make plays. If you're not that fast and you don't have a strong arm, like, it's just, how about you don't do that? How about you just execute the offense? Like, that would be really cool. It would be great if we could do that. And I think that's why you're seeing like his peak this year, 74th percentile in EPA per play. It's like not very good. I mean, it's not like terrible or anything, but it's just, that's the best we've seen. 62nd percentile is his second best game. So I'm like, where's the ceiling here? And then you're going against a Cardinals pass defense that I think is better than they look on paper, and a Cardinals run defense that's just not good. And then an offensive coaching staff that would like this season to be over as soon as possible. Like let's go into the offseason. We still have our jobs. Everyone's still got our job. We're all here. Ben's coming back together for next year. We'll solidify the offensive line. We'll add some players on defense. That would be an improvement, So they're going to try and run the ball here, I think. They're going to try and lean on Chuba Hubbard, who's been really good and has a good matchup here. I just struggle to see how much they're going to want to pass here.
Chuba was one of those 4, right, Davis? The 4 that you're getting to a lot in the Sims?
Let me check my sheet. I think yes.
That was Connor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. No, it's Gibbs first, Brown second, Connor third, Chuba fourth. I think those guys are going to combine for combinatorially 130% ownership or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to 130%. Yeah. Seems about right. Anything else in this game? I mean, Adam Thielen, I don't know if anybody mentioned him, but I think he looks pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's definitely playable. No.
All right.
Do you have a preference between how do you guys feel about Connor versus Hubbard? Do you have a preference between the two?
Connor.
Yeah, I think Connor.
Yeah, no DeMercado, IR. Trey Benson out. DJ Dallas is questionable. It's like they're gonna have a fullback as the second running back, and they gotta win. They gotta win. They are like sub 50% for the playoffs.
Yeah, they need it. The lean on James Conner. Quick aside, in my unlimited keeper league, we invited a new shark into the league this week to co-manage a team with a guy who didn't really pay a lot of attention, and he's just been making trades left and right, created a monster team. I ended up, because it's unlimited keeper, I traded Tyreek Hill and Derrick Henry for CeeDee Lamb to this guy, thinking I'm just conceding my season, going to let him win this one. His team is too good. Now I'm playing him this week, and all of my guys are in the best possible matchups. And I'm like, I might have a chance to beat this guy. I've got CeeDee Lamb against the Bucs. I've got James Conner and Kyler just feeling really good. So nice. I'm really hoping that the Cardinals put up a big score here, because it'd be funny if I beat him after basically conceding my season. All right. Pat, I feel like you keep on landing on the less exciting DFS games, but maybe you're going to like this one better than I do. Philadelphia Eagles at Washington Commanders. Eagles have an implied team total of 24.5. That's 10th out of 32 teams. Commanders 21. That's tied for 19th out of 32 teams. Anybody that you like in the Eagles or Commanders?
I think Barkley is a really strong leverage play off the running back chalk. 8,300. Obviously, you're having to pay for him, but he went off on this defense. This is a run funnel defense. The Eagles were run heavy last week. They got the offense going, the passing offense going, but because Jalen Hurts was efficient, he had an 84th percentile EPA per play, which was almost twice as high as he was the previous week against Carolina in terms of the percentile. But they had a 52% pass rate, which is exactly the same as they had against Carolina. And, honestly, it's tied for their highest since their week 5 bye, but that's still a very, very low pass rate. League average, I believe, 61% now. So this is a team that we have not seen a single time since the week 5 bye even approach an average pass rate. I don't expect them to do that here against a bad run defense, a team that opponents have been running on pretty consistently. And I mean, Barkley's having the most efficient rushing season on record, right? Since the next gen stats came out, that this is the very best rush yards over expected season we've ever seen, by a lot. And no one's going to play him in a great matchup. It seems pretty good. I might have to play him just to mush him so that he doesn't kill me in best ball.
Nobody's playing him, dude.
Yeah.
That seems bad.
He projects for fewer points than Gibbs and Chase Brown, actually.
Sure. But you could see, pretty easily Barkley having a monster game. And
he just smashes. Yeah.
He smashes. You have to have him. And so I guess I don't understand why we're we're so sure that we're just not going to play Barkley at all. Like he should be in the mix.
Because everyone just does.
5% does not make sense here.
Everyone just does what the computer says, you know?
Well, I'm going to play Barkley.
I like it. Me too. Davis, anything else for you from this game?
No one has agreed with me all week. Not one. I mean, you know me, Neil, I do a lot of shows. Not one person has co-signed this. Maybe the Commanders can win this game. Maybe they can. Jaden Daniels is fun. He runs around. He makes stuff happen. This ends up being a frenetic back and forth fun fantasy game. Everyone's like, no, the Eagles, there was 5 total possessions in the second half last week. They're just going to run the ball and suffocate. It's totally, this is vibes-based analysis. This is not backed up by the data. All the data stuff says Eagles are just going to lean on them. Commanders, bad run defense, small, weaker corners. I guess Lattimore is in. AJ Brown is banged up, so why push it? But I just kind of have a feeling. One thing I did think was Hurts is kind of the exploitable spot at quarterback this week because everyone's going to be playing these mid-tier guys, you know? Like, it's going to be a lot of, like, Anthony Richardson and Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy and just these guys who are, like, going to get 24. Like, they're going to have a good game and they're going to get 24. The Bills-Patriots game is, like, sure, Josh could get 40 if he wants, but, like, I don't know. Let's all just go home. You know, it's Christmas.
Can you not please, Josh?
Yeah, right. And it feels like, man, if it's only 3.5 too, it's in Washington. Like this is not it feels like the field has just decided it's the same thing as Bills Patriots, you know, 14.5 point spread. It's 3.5 points. 3.5 point favorites lose all the time. That's basically a coin flip in the NFL, a little bit worse than a coin flip. So I kind of like Daniels. I kind of like De'Ami Brown. I like Ben Sinnott. I think my hot take for the week is I might like Sinnott more than Strange. He took over the receiving role after Ertz was out last week. The Commanders play a ton of 12 personnel. They hate all their wide receivers other than Terry McLaurin. Like they would rather play 2 running backs than 3 wide receivers. They'd rather play 21 than 11. No, I mean, Sinnott's a fullback, so he can play in 21. But yeah, I like Hurts and Devonta's 5,800, man. You know.
Yeah, no, I like the Devontae call. I think you're setting yourself up to get hurt pretty bad by Cliff.
Yeah, I'm setting myself up for 22 plays, 11 minutes, field goal. Yes.
Yeah, you really are. The other thing is that when they played the first time, they had a decent pass rate over expected, but they leaned a lot on or they had a decent pass rate. They had 63% pass rate, a little bit below expected, but they leaned on Eckler. And he had 9 targets, 89 receiving yards. Brian Robinson and Jerry McNichols also got a target each. I think with Eckler out, like they're not going to do that with Robinson. I wonder if we actually see them shift to the run a bit here too. The Eagles have been so good against the pass.
They're definitely going to try.
They're
definitely going to try.
You know, part of the game being close does not necessarily mean it'll be fun. Like I think both teams could run on each other.
Correct.
And you know, maybe there's not that much fantasy goodness in this game.
I sort of like the Jaden. I thought about writing up Jaden Daniels just from the standpoint of he can do it against anybody, like just one of that type of quarterback where, but then it was like, I don't love anybody to pair him with. Maybe you've sold me a little bit on Sinnott. I did not even write up Sinnott, and I saw Davis has him as a cash game play this week. So maybe I need to think more.
Do you want to take a guess on what Sinnott's yards per route run this year is?
Objection.
Just take a guess.
It's
0.74.
He's ran like 90 routes.
A little lower. No.
Overruled.
0.28. 0.28.
Oh man, that's not great.
That being so low should give you pause. You should be like, something is not right.
You know what it is? It's that he's a fullback, Davis. That's what's not right.
Fullbacks would have better than that. Kyle Juszczyk is better than that.
Well, Kyle Juszczyk, sure, but most fullbacks no.
So I got to say, I did this exercise with Parker Washington, like not that many weeks ago. It's pretty like at least 7 weeks into the season. where I was like, he has 0.79 yards per route run. People are thinking about playing this guy. And then he had one really good game, and it was up to like 1.2 after that one good game. So Davis, to Davis's point about small sample size, like it could shoot up quickly.
It could shoot up quickly with some actual routes. That's true. But it's just you. The funny thing about the rotational tight end thing is that normally, or maybe not normal, but a lot of times, at least in kind of my memory, you see these rotational guys, and when they play, they get targeted. So they end up having like a 30% targets per route run because there's a package for the backup tight end.
That's like not him though. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's like
yeah.
Ben Sinnott. You know what Ben Sinnott profiles as? Athletic Pat Fryermuth. No, like half a blocker, like half a blocker, like Will Dissly with a 4.5 40.
That sounds great. I like that. Will Dissly with a 4.5 40. I'm into. Look, I like Sinnott as a prospect, and I drafted some in best ball, so this is mostly just me tilting. I am a Sinnott drafter. That's why I'm being so hard on him. But it is, it's not ideal. How many routes does he have? It's not like none.
I am also a Sinnott drafter, and by the way, he's another player that I have 0 shares of remaining, so I'm expecting him to go off this week.
I'm pretty sure I do have a Sinnott team left.
No, he's not. Chad is saying Stone Smart. No, Stone Smart is a different style of player. Stone Smart is more.
Chad needs to listen to last week's episode.
Stone Smart is like a Ladarius Green. I mean, yeah, we went deep.
We went deep.
If you want 15 minutes on Stone Smart, listen to last week's episode. There's timestamps. You can go find it.
Sinnott has run 100 routes. He has 5 targets on 100 routes. It's not good.
It's not good. But this week, maybe this week is the week they finally start prioritizing Ben Sinnott in a worst possible matchup. So we're hoping for here.
The worst.
Anything else? I mean, isn't it like kind of?
Yeah. No, you're 100%
I think
right.
the Eagles linebackers are like really good. Like people think this guy Zach Bond is like the next like Brian Urlacher.
Wow.
Yeah, Luke McCaffrey, that's a good one too. That's another player that I drafted a lot of.
Started out the year 80% route participation, is now running fewer routes than Olamide Zaccheaus with Noah Brown out.
I heard from multiple people they referred to him as this year's Puka Nacua, and I was like, that sounds good to me. I want to draft that guy. This year's Puka Nacua.
We got to stop doing that because I heard that phrase applied to Casey Washington, a 6-year senior from Indiana who was a day 3 pick to the Falcons, and I was like, all right, that was on The Athletic, the official Atlanta Falcons beat writer. So I was like, maybe we've gone too far.
Who was obviously there was not and then never was going to be a this year's Puka Nacua, but who came closest?
Good question.
Lad McConkey.
I don't think of like anybody. No, I mean, Lad was a 2nd-round pick who went. I mean, I guess.
Is Brenton Strange a rookie? He's not. He's a 2nd-year player.
Oh, does it have to be a rookie?
It should be a late-round rookie.
Juwan Jennings. It's Juwan Jennings if there is
but
one.
He's like a 3rd-year player, 4th-year player. I bet you're right. He's a late-round receiver. Yeah.
Jalen McMillan is like starting to be good.
It's probably McMillan.
It's McMillan. Yeah.
He was a 3rd-round pick, I think, but we'll count it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just not. There's only been one Puka Nacua ever, right? So yeah, I don't think that there's.
Amon-Ra was day 3. 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Chase Claypool was. I think he was late round pick.
He was.
He was a late round best ball pick.
We just drafted him late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on Eagles Commanders?
No.
All right. Los Angeles Rams at New York Jets. Rams have an implied team total of 24.75. That's 9th out of 32 teams. Jets 21.75. That's 17th out of 32 teams. Davis, who do you like on the Rams or the Jets?
I like Puka Nacua. I like Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams fits the same mold as Barkley, where it's like just obvious smash spot. Going to get 29 rushes on the road in the cold. Their offensive line, if you've seen a real improvement in their offense since their entire offensive line has been healthy each of the last 3 weeks, I guess not on Thursday night. Also, they have the rest advantage here, 10 days rest for 7 days rest. I think they kind of just smoke the Jets. And I think we like literally see Kyren get the ball. Like he might get the ball 30 times. Yeah. And I like a Garrett Wilson flop leg where Adams was the guy last week. And he clearly Adams just has the connection with Rodgers. Like, it's so beyond obvious. But it's also obvious that Garrett Wilson's better. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're like, Garrett Wilson is way better, but he just has just not put in what have they been teammates for 11 years or something, these guys? Like, it's just not the same. And Wilson is like free. Like, was he 6,200? I think. He's just like 66. So cheap. Yeah, 66. So very yeah, that's it. The cards on the table though, skin in the game answer. I can say that about Kyren Williams, but it's like, dude, come on. I'm just gonna play Chase Brown. you know, it's those guys, those plays are so good. Like, I like Kyren. He's this awesome play. He sets up so good. In my sheet, I've got Chase Brown for 7 more points than Kyren. You know?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's like conceptually, sure. But the rubber meets the road and you start clicking the buttons in the computer and you're like, this says Kyren Williams should be in jail, not in my lineup. You know? It's just it's just one of those really interesting spots. I just don't even know how you handle stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's like same price, or I guess he's slightly cheaper than those guys, but like,
yeah,
usually like I'd rather pivot to like a completely different build, I think, than pivot just to Kyren. Did you mention Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, he's getting like real pricey. I don't know. What do you guys think about Puka?
I don't know what to. I like, he projects really well. I don't know what to make of like Sauce Gardner. Do we have concerns about the matchup on the Jets? I know they haven't been great defensively this year, but like,
I think Jets fans are like think he like is actively terrible. They've been saying this. They've been saying you can't. We're calling you Ahmad, which is his first name, because you are not cool. You're not good enough to earn a nickname anymore.
Wow. I don't know he'd been that bad. All right. So I mean, I think he's targeted so much that over 10 targets per game over the past 5 weeks. I don't know. I still think Puka looks like a pretty good play.
Puka's a good play. Yeah. Adams is a good play. I think if I'm gonna, to me, I'm like, all right, Kyren, I'm gonna do it, and then I'm just gonna take him out of the lineup and find the 1100 and play Barkley. Like, that's the Kyren lineup conceptually. Like, why wouldn't I just play Barkley? You know, it's the same type of play, but who's got the nuclear ceiling, right?
Right.
We know it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just have to note, in one of my 2 DraftKings Millie Maker teams, I have Devonta Adams. He's 50% owned in my pod, which is the most frustrating thing.
That's crazy.
He was so good. Yeah.
He was so good. Yeah, you almost had to have him.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Cooper Kupp, 6,500.
Like the ultimate flop leg spot, like possibly the ultimate. Like, what is his actual, like, I don't care whatever his projected ownership is. Here's a good one. What is his ownership in lineups that are not generated by an optimizer? Like, users are clicking them on their own. Hand built lineups in the SPY. Over under 0.5 Cooper Kupp lineups.
Right. Yeah.
Under.
You go to click the game log and you just see 0.
It's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally healthy 0.
Yeah. He's definitely somebody to, if you're using an optimizer and making 150 lineups, somebody you should try to get a little bit of exposure to. Just let the computer do it for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, and the Jets, like, we're not playing any Jets running backs. I assume Breece Hall is just kind of hurt.
No, Braylon's gonna play.
Yeah.
So it's like a real mess now. It's gonna be really interesting for Breece and best ball next year. Like, Isaiah Davis and Braylon were like good enough that like you're not sending those guys to 0. You know,
right?
So
Braylon looks terrible in the numbers though.
Numbers got to learn to watch ball.
Numbers don't know ball.
Yeah.
Numbers by definition don't know ball, but I think Braylon just like looks cooler than what he's actually achieving.
He's really strong.
He's got a cool number. He's like tall.
Yeah.
Built.
He looks like it's like, oh, that guy would be hard to tackle. Like he just kind of looks like Barkley has the real thick legs. Not runs like Barkley. Right.
Just kind of looks He wears the visor. That's big. That's huge for running backs to wear the visor.
It is pretty cool. Yeah.
I think Brees probably falls into like that Kenneth Walker zone, but I think I'm interested there.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from this game?
No.
All right. We'll go to Pat first for the Minnesota Vikings at Seattle Seahawks. Vikings have an implied team total 22.75. That's 13th out of 32 teams. The Seahawks implied team total 19.75. That's 23rd out of 32 teams. Pat, anybody you like on the Vikings or the Seahawks?
I like Geno Smith for not being hurt, just to make this game watchable and keep some semblance of hope alive for the JSN best ball bags and everything. But from DFS perspective, I think the Vikings stuff is playable, right? Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Addison, I think are all kind of interesting here at like no ownership. And with the idea that Geno can kind of be capable on the other side.
Yeah. This is my spot of the week. I called my DFS article this week Jackson, Shipper, and Jigba. It's like a really simple thing. Seattle's offensive line is terrible.
Yep.
Minnesota blitzes at the highest rate in the league, and they get home at a really high rate. How do you solve that if you're an offensive coordinator? You just don't even give them time to get home. It's just spam JSN. Just absolutely spam that guy. Give him Trey McBride usage. Just like 7-yard crosser, 4-yard hitch, like screens, jet sweeps, like just and like you can't do that stuff with Lockett anymore. He's 1 billion years old. Both of your running backs are coming in banged up. Sure, they're off the injury report and everything, but I think pretty clearly neither of them are 100%. And they're dogs against this great defense. Like Geno has already had 50 pass attempt games this year. Could very easily see that happen again here.
So JSN, I see the matchup very similarly, like kind of the particulars of the matchup favoring JSN a lot with everything Davis is saying about them blitzing a ton and just having a really good pass rush in general. I dug into the numbers for JSN against the blitz. He has a 24% targets per route run, which leads the Seahawks. He also has 26% targets per route run on throws of 2.5 seconds or quicker. And he's at 2.36 yards per route run against the blitz and 1.98 on those quick throws. So he's been efficient and highly targeted. It just makes a ton of sense for them to build this game plan around him. Metcalf, I would note, is involved in both splits, 21% targets per route run.
Free on
He's
DraftKings.
Free. Yeah. 1.83 yards per route run against the blitz, 1.76 yards per route run on quick throws. I like JSN more here, but I think Metcalf will be involved as well. Yeah, 5,500, man.
They're also cheap that they like qualify as a vomit stack. They're like combinatorial pricing is the same as like a Levis double or something. You know, it's like straight up like vomit pricing.
Yeah, pretty nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, I like Jefferson and Addison here too.
Jefferson is beyond a secret play this week. Like he's gonna be like 4%. He's gonna be half his own as Chase in a better spot in a more competitive game for a team that absolutely has to win. Like I just have visions in my head of like 700 combinatorial passing yards in this game. Like it's actually less vibes based than how I'm thinking about Philadelphia, Washington. Like both of these teams are better passing it than running it. Both these teams have to win. Both these teams have shoddy offensive line play. Both these teams blitz. Both these teams have good edge rushers. Both these teams have banged up running backs. You know, like it's kind of all trending in that direction.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Let's just throw the hell out of the ball.
Yep.
Charles wants to know if Lockett can take his team to week 17. No is the answer to that one.
But Audric Estime might.
Audric Estime might. 10.8 from Audric Estime. I did see, DK Metcalf, the coaches were saying, like, makes me sick that we didn't get him the ball more. I forget what the actual coach speak was, but there was some positive coach speak surrounding, like, not being happy with not getting DK Metcalf the ball last week. So maybe there's a little bit of coach speak angle to play DK Metcalf there. but you can just play him because he's 5,500 and a good player too. Anything else from this game?
No, but I think it could be fun. The Howell stuff was so bad last week that I think just
it makes me worried they're rushing Geno back when he's not 100% sound.
That is happening. I think it must.
That is yes, that is. Which if all you can do is stand in the pocket and just deliver 7-yard throws, all back to JSN. Nez and I did our pick'em show earlier, and we used the underdog slider all the way up to over 9.5 receptions for JSN. That's just what I think is happening. That's my read.
I love it.
I'm not familiar with this slider on underdog. Maybe somebody need to check out. You can choose your line.
It just changes the payout.
So it has the median 4.5 receptions or whatever, and then you gain additional multiplier by making it higher or lower.
I like that. Huh. Yeah. I'll play around with that.
Honestly, don't.
Or maybe I should not play.
Maybe
That's
don't.
Probably the right answer. Can you go lower than the median?
You can go lower.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could be like DK Metcalf's getting 19 yards here.
Interesting. All right. Anything else from the Vikings or the Seahawks?
I like Kenneth Walker in the draft games on underdog. He just is low owned. Just gonna get 18 touches. Maybe he scores twice.
Fair. All right. Jacksonville Jaguars at Las Vegas Raiders. Jaguars implied team total 19.5. That's tied for 24th of 32 teams. Raiders implied team total 21 is tied for 19th out of 32 teams. Davis, do you like anybody on the Jags or the Raiders?
I think if I could know the final score of a game this week, I would choose this one.
Yeah.
You could tell me anything from this game finishes 9-6 with no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and Mac Jones gets benched for CJ Beathard, to no tackles were recorded in the whole game. Both quarterbacks threw for 300 yards. Brock Bowers and Brian Thomas Jr. each scored twice. It's such a no one cares bowl that anything it's like a college bowl game. These college bowl, the college bowl game that's happening right now as we're speaking, the Cure Bowl. No one's watching this game. There's a college football playoff game tonight. Yeah, no one cares. It's
what is Cure? Played. I don't understand.
I assume it's
the band
thing.
Okay. Is this sponsored by the band?
I don't know. But between Ohio and Jacksonville State, no one cares. There were a bunch of touchdowns in that game, because it's just all we're just practicing basically. This could be the slot bowl. Mac Jones, Brian Thomas Jr., and Brenton Strange each put up 30. Aiden O'Connell threw for 380 yards. Jacoby Myers scored twice. Brock Bowers
I'm begging
had
for
15 receptions or something. Amir Abdullah caught 11 checked. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Breast cancer, by the way, is what the
breast cancer. There you go.
Yeah.
There you
go. Okay. Nice. Good to know that.
Good to know. I think I want to believe in a world where this is a fun game. That's the world I am choosing to live in. I think partly I'm living in that world because, much like Sam Howell last week, just sucking the life out of a football game, Desmond Ridder, who I was sweating Bowers last week at a 5.55. It needed 4 or 5 more points from Bowers. It gets in. Ridder you just knew the whole game. You're there's just no shot. They're starting all their drives at the 2-yard line because of these stupid punts, and then they're taking safeties. It looks so bad. I think Aiden O'Connell is a legitimately significant improvement.
Huge.
Yeah.
So much better.
And he's a statue, and he plays pretty conservatively. He's perfect for Brock. He's made to just get the ball to Brock Bowers 6-7 yards downfield. Bowers is so good after the catch. I think Bowers could have a really big game here. He doesn't like popping my stuff, but I like him. I think he's a really fun play.
He's
the clear tight end 1 this week. I think
that's
Kittle set up well, McBride set up well, but Bowers is the guy I want to bet on.
Patty's huge salary, like positional leverage on McBride because you kind of have to choose one or the other. And McBride's going to be 10% more owned because Kyler posted on Instagram about getting the touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all so dumb that we're going to fall for it.
Like that, like you're joking, but right now it's even higher than that. I see McBride 21%, Bowers 9.5% projected ownership.
Yeah, no, Bowers is a phenomenal play.
Strange more owned than both. What do you guys make? Is it just Brendan Strange is as good as Evan Ingram, so just play him at 35?
Yeah, I think Strange is a good play. Like he's just Evan Ingram. He's Evan Ingram at a lower price.
Yeah. Very cheap Evan Ingram. Yeah, Strange looks pretty good. Brian Thomas, we just saw it last week, had that big game with Mac Jones, so we know he's capable of it. Another nice matchup there.
This dude is so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. His quarterback play has sucked. Like Trevor Lawrence was bad this year. He had a bad season.
Yeah.
And Brian Thomas is like crushing.
Yeah, he's been doing it with every quarterback they've thrown at him, basically.
Yep.
Are you playing any Aiden O'Connell?
Yeah.
Probably
I
not.
think so. If I do decide to go slot ball, I want to have the quarterback.
Okay.
And O'Connell over Mac Jones in that case?
Yeah, like O'Connell, I just feel like is slightly more likely to have more pass attempts, but like the thing is like I was saying earlier with Hurts, like no quarterback just seems that relevant this week outside of Hurts and Allen if he chooses to. So if you're doing that, what are you gaining if you do the like 87 IQ DFS bro move? Oh, I'm going to stack this game, but I'm going to do Anthony Richardson for the 2 rushing touchdowns. You're not gaining. Like Anthony Richardson scores 2 touchdowns, gets 28 points. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any running backs at all in this game? Like Alexander Madison?
If I thought if I could play Madison and Abdullah as the same guy, if I could get their stats in one lineup spot,
be a smash.
Yeah. But I just don't. Awesome. They didn't use them that way in the last game, so I don't think they will here.
Yeah, probably not. Michael Mayer has been sort of relevant. I mean, really just one game. He has 11 targets over the past 2 games, but it was 9 targets 2 weeks ago, and then just 2 targets. But that was with Michael Mayer, with Aiden O'Connell, and then didn't get the targets with Desmond Ritter.
Yeah,
so Ritter's sort of interesting.
Yeah,
like
they just play 12 personnel as their base.
Yeah.
So like he's basically the 3rd wide receiver. Like he's the 3rd wide receiver on the Raiders.
And like a 2nd round pick last year. Like I was super hyped to play him
2 years ago
in Showdown. Oh, was it 2 years ago now? That's nuts.
No, last year.
No, it was 2 years ago.
No, he was in the same class as Laporta.
Is that true?
That's true.
I think it's true. Yeah. I think that's true.
All right.
Same class as Laporta, Kincaid.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Michael Mayer or Dalton Kincaid if you're trying to win a Super Bowl?
Oh no. Michael Mayer though, very clearly.
I think it honestly might be Mayer. 2,900. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely worse ways to punt.
Yeah. Anything else in this game?
No.
All right. San Francisco 49ers at Miami Dolphins. Niners have an implied team total 21.5. That's 18th out of 32 teams. Dolphins 23. That's tied for 11th out of 32 teams. And we've reached that point in the program where I forget who I went to first last time. So eeny, meeny, miny, Pat. Any interest in anybody on either of the Niners or the Dolphins?
Theoretically, Tyreek Hill is a good play at 6,900. Waddle dealing with the knee injury. Target should consolidate a little bit more. But I don't know, man. Like the 49ers are a run funnel. And they have a good pass rush. So I think that the goal for McDaniel is going to be like get the ball out as quick as possible and probably pass less than we've seen recently. They've been passing so much, but it's this weird kind of ultra quick, short stuff. So then you go, okay, well, what about Achane? But I don't know. I mean, at 7,400, I think I'd rather either play like the chalky guys, or if I'm going away from that, like I want Barkley. Like Achane has been the least efficient running back in the league when you look at his rush yards over expected. He has the lowest rush yards over expected in the entire NFL. He's been pretty good as a receiver, but it's like it feels very manufactured. We're not seeing him rip off like the long runs, even as a receiver. Like he's just not been electric this year. He was so electric last year. But it just hasn't been there. And I feel like he's a pretty safe bet. Like he's going to get a bunch of targets. He's going to accumulate. And there is some upside. But in a week with really strong plays at running back, including ones that aren't going to get played at all, I don't have that much interest in him.
All right. Anybody on the Niners for you, Pat?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Pat. I mean, come on, dude.
We'll go for it.
Randy Moss is 5,900. Juwan Jennings, man.
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings is really good. He's very good.
I let Juwan Jennings beat me in DFS once, and I learned my lesson. I said, all right, you beat me once, fine. Not happening again. He's just a good player.
Very good. Yeah.
He's good. The thing I worry about in this game is that if we had a Garendo, right? If we had a Mason, I think we'd go, they're going to run the ball here, right? The Dolphins are going to run the ball against them. They're going to run the ball as well. So it'd be kind of a conservative game plan. But we have Patrick Taylor and who knows what, as far as the running game goes. So we can't we don't have the certainty about who's going to get the ball. But I still think they run the ball.
See, I don't think they do. I think Shanahan is wise enough to be like, look, man, I'm on my running back 5.
Did you watch Thursday Night Football? Because I'm starting to wonder how wise.
I could not have been paid. Yeah. Could not have been paid to watch that game.
Yeah. Didn't give me wise vibes. I'll say that.
Yeah. So we're not going to Patrick Taylor then. That's one that's he's not really getting any ownership. I kind of thought he was going to be sort of stuffy.
I'd be absolutely jamming him if we got and I know Shanahan likes to lie, but if Shanahan said Patrick Taylor's starting, Patrick Taylor's a guy. But I think there's a chance it's Abanikanda. I think there's a chance it's Keyshawn Vaughn. I think there's a 15% chance Deebo Samuel lines up in the backfield just as a straight up halfback on the first play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kyle Juszczyk could play every third down. I think they could throw in the red zone at their highest rate of the season. I just don't.
You don't trust it.
The trust level is at 0.
So there was a report that Abanikanda is on that text chain with Jermaine Burton and Adonai Mitchell. So I don't think we have to worry about him.
No, but Pat, that's so funny you say that because I got multiple messages when Abanikanda got claimed with the Jets from co-managers in dynasty stuff and being we got to add him, and then sending me a Coach Speak Index clip of Shanahan talking about Abanikanda. And I went on the couch with Sigmund Bloom and he's like, oh yeah, this was the same system he played at Pitt in college. He gets it. He know. And it's I don't know, guys, fool me once with Israel Abanikanda.
You know what also was the same system? The Jets. The Jets run the same system.
So he has a lot of experience with that system.
Yeah. Then what was the problem? Yeah. I don't know. Is he guys who get? I mean, look, Nick Weapon, one of these guys, 5th round pick, gets cut within his rookie
and
year.
Then gets cut. And then got cut,
and
then got cut again, and then got cut again.
6 or 7 years from now, I think Abanikanda could reemerge.
28-year-old Abanikanda is going to be an awesome running back 3 on the Houston Texans. That is for sure.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. But until then, I don't know.
I like Purdy doubles here. This is Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. If Dad Shanahan is Palpatine, these guys are this is the master and the Padawan. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I think Mike McDaniel's bordering on Jar Jar at this point.
So not a fan.
Jar Jar was supposed to be a Sith, dude. People forget that he was supposed to. That was George Lucas's plan. Is that real
lore?
That's real. That was George Lucas's plan. And then yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a heat check right there.
Yes,
all right.
It is.
So who are the
Jennings and Kittle.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I thought you were going.
I like that. I think that's definitely in play.
Yeah, Kittle pretty interesting as like everybody wants to play McBride, and then if you're not playing McBride, you're pivoting to Bowers. Kittle's gonna get pretty overlooked here, so I like that call. All right, any Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith?
I like Tyreek Hill more than Pat. He had 14 targets 2 weeks ago. No, like he could totally go like literally like 11, 1, 12, and 1 here, like very easily.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a good play. Like he's a good play. The computer will probably tell me to play him, and I'll listen. That's what's gonna happen.
Actually, don't. The computer's not gonna play him because the computer wants you to play Jonnu.
Do you want to play Jonnu?
I see Tyreek at like 5% ownership, so it's not like it's totally fine.
Jonnu's just been good every week. Are we?
This is a pretty good setup for Jonnu, I think. Like, my thing with Jonnu is that he's a big beneficiary of the quick passing game. Let's get the ball out as quick as we can. This like Tua has the highest success rate in the NFL, which is crazy because he's like really not playing that well. It feels like, but they're using they have this really, really fast time to throw, and they're achieving high percentage targets, right? Like high catch rate targets. So, and then Jonnu's really good after the catch. Achan's been good after the catch. Tyreek's good after the catch. So it's just like this offense that doesn't have a ton of upside to it, but it's kind of slow and they have to get 1 million completions so it can kind of break down. But like from a fantasy perspective, it's pretty good, and I think Jonnu is set up well here where, again, with this pass rush, the 49ers pass rush is still very good. So I think they'll probably be looking to feed him again.
Yeah, seems pretty likely. So is it just a pay up at tight end kind of week? I mean, we've got Jonnu, Kittle, Bowers,
Strange,
McBride, and then Strange. You got
and Mayer,
Sinnott. I mean,
Sinnott.
So maybe not. All right,
it could be a double tight end week.
It could be. I'm with you on that. Anything else from this game?
No.
All right, let's move on to New England Patriots at Buffalo Bills. Patriots have an implied team total of 16th. That is 31st out of 32 teams. Implied to 16, not 16. 31st out of 32 teams. The Bills have an implied team total of 30.5. That is the top of all 32 teams. Davis, do you like anybody on the Patriots or the Bills?
If I did it, I think I'd literally just play Josh on his own. He's brought Shakir with him once, and he's brought Ty Johnson with him once. Other than that, no one has even come close to getting there in DK scoring. The bringbacks have gotten there, but as Kerrane details every single week, it is as if the New England Patriots are blindfolding Drake May, putting him in a steel chamber, putting it underwater, and then handcuffing him and saying, "Get us some points, please." Like it's not even about him. It's like he makes these crazy throws that sideline throw.
Yeah.
He's clearly very good, but there's no hope. They get down 20 points in these games and they just run their stuff. There's just no point.
The thing, it's worse than that. They first, before they get down 28, they drive down the field and get into field goal range, take a penalty. Then they have some play. You can see Alex Van Pelt. It's like that's his Super Bowl. Is how do I get 8 yards back on 3rd and 14 after a holding penalty so that we can miss a 56-yard field goal? It's like, and they do it. They execute it perfectly. They get their 8 yards. They completely blow the kick. In a game like that, they're about to lose by like 20 points. They've got to get this field. It's just like the worst coach team I've ever seen. I'm like a little offended by it was 15.5 this point total. Like they're going to get absolutely blasted by this Bills offense. So they're not going to be able to put up 17 points here. Like I think they'll get there, but the problem is that they'll probably lose by more than the spread. I think they're going to cover their implied team total and not cover the spread. That's my prediction for the Patriots here. I think Hunter Henry's in play. if you're betting on May to have a productive day, mostly in garbage time, then I think Hunter Henry is probably the best way to play. May is like, he's a little too expensive to really be thinking about at 5,800, unfortunately. But I will say for the Patriots that when they get down, like real down, they will pass. So this isn't the worst. It's not as bad as the setup for the Patriots as I think it looks like on paper with the really low implied team total, huge dogs, in the sense that like we want them, the coaching staff's so bad that we kind of need them to like be down by 15, and then they'll just stop. They'll abandon the run and pass it a bunch, and May will score 2 touchdowns in the second half, and we'll be okay. But I don't know what you do. Like from a DFS perspective, I really think it's just kind of Hunter Henry.
I'd just rather play. I would maybe even rather play Chalk Caleb, as a dog. I'm hoping gets there in the second half.
Well, you can stack Caleb. You can't really stack May outside of Henry, and Henry's not like a smash. He's 4,100. He's fine. So,
are either of you relying on Josh Allen for your best balls this week? Because I want him to fall so flat.
I really don't have. I stacked Josh Allen, and that's why I was like, why didn't I get any Josh Allen through it?
Right,
I think
me too.
I have.
Got him with Kincaid.
Yeah.
I was too busy taking the quarterback 18 in round 4, so I kind of missed that train.
Yeah.
Wait, is this real news? Hill being downgraded? Yeah, Tyreek Hill is questionable. Jalen Waddle doubtful.
This happens. This has happened every week for like 6 consecutive weeks. You get the notification that Tyreek, he's really his wrist, his knees.
So this comment here, I really want to see if Underdog will post a rivals of May versus Mitch Trubisky in the second half, or fourth quarter line, May versus Mitch Trubisky. I need it. That's how we make money on May this week.
I'll take it.
It'll be a sweat. It'll be a sweat.
And like at the end of the day, like Josh Allen's already won MVP. So like if you're thinking in your head like, oh, they want him to get 6 touchdowns, like no, it's already over. It's done.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to beat up a helpless child to get his MVP.
If anything, that might hurt. It's just like, just like the
that was kind of rude that he threw a pass to himself, Harlem Globetrotter style, he bounced it off the upright and then caught it on his own. That seemed a bit much.
Yeah. MVP voters not going to like that.
It's very uncouth. I'm voting for Lamar.
The Malik Washington, he's like fine. I actually really liked him as a prospect. He gets some like rushing stuff, waddles out. He's a totally perfectly cromulent punt play, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't write him up. I thought about adding Malik Washington. But yeah, it's good call out. Final, we only have one more game, and it's FanDuel only. It is the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Dallas Cowboys. The players that I wrote up for this one, Mike Evans is 8,800, Baker Mayfield 8,100. I think both are like that's a fine stack. Jalen McMillan only 5,800. I think is playable on FanDuel. Rico Dowdle 7,300 is a legitimate good play. Jake Ferguson 5,300. I think a pretty strong play. CeeDee Lamb 8,500. I know you guys don't really play FanDuel necessarily do the same prep work for FanDuel stuff, but do you have any other thoughts on Cowboys Bucks?
Bucky, I would be interested in as Bucky. A way off the Giga running back chalk, and McMillan too. Actually,
McMillan Bucky, pretty cheap. I'm trying to remember what Bucky's. I didn't write him up, so I want to look at what his price tag is.
It's probably more expensive than you think.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't write him up, because he was. It's 7,800. So
pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's fairly expensive. Dowdle 7,300 and projects better. I don't know. It's playable. I agree with you. It's playable.
Yeah,
but pretty expensive. All right. That's it as far as the slate goes. Unless you had anything else you want to say about that game. Let's talk about favorite stacks, and then we'll talk about really low owned dart throws that we like. So starting with favorite stacks, sounds like Caleb is one that at least me and Davis. I don't know, Pat, are you in on Caleb?
I think I am. I'm not like super excited about it, but I think it's definitely a strong play. I like the Odunze angle. I think he would be the way I would be trying to differentiate that.
He's just going to be like really, really owned. Like really, really.
Dunze is?
Caleb.
No, Caleb.
Caleb is okay.
Yeah, he'll get a fair amount. Kyler also, like, Kyler projected for single digit ownership, which I don't know if I buy it, but that's how it's being projected.
Kyler, I really like.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Brock Purdy and
Juwan
Jennings and George Kittle for me.
I like the vomit stack Seahawks one. I think that was fun. I think you could do Darnold stuff on the other side of that. I think you can kind of stack up that game. So I'd throw that one up there.
I like that.
Yeah, JSN is my favorite play of the week. That was my answer in the Roto-Grinders expert survey for my favorite play under 10% is JSN.
Yeah,
I'm actually worried that he's so obvious that he becomes that. Remember the week we all loved AJ Brown, and then we turned the cards over and he was like 22% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm worried JSN is like actually so obvious at 6,000 that he then becomes that play this week.
Yeah.
I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase is pretty fun. They're cooking, and the matchup is not that hard.
Oh, it's actually that's one that's not going to get owned at all.
So expensive. It's really expensive.
Toss T in there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And then where are you guys landing on the Penix stuff? Are you going to stack him at all?
If I do it, I'm not just doing it with London.
Okay.
I'm including Mooney or Pitts or McLeod.
You just said Mooney to keep us off your back. You're doing it with Pitts.
I'm doing it with
Yeah.
Pitts is not a Tampa Bay merchant. He's a deep ball merchant. These are different things.
He's a 2022 merchant, I believe. Is it 2021 now? Good
He's got outproduced by Kadarius Toney in yards per game their final season at Florida merchant.
He's a Van Jefferson with tight end eligibility merchant.
Oh God. That might be true. I mean, is that even false? Like
Van Jefferson at tight end. I mean, come on, you'd have 14% of Van Jefferson at tight end in Best Ball Mania 6.
By the way, spoiler alert: I'm playing a lot of Van Jefferson tomorrow on the 2-game slate.
Oh no,
with George Pickens out because he's still not getting any ownership.
You want to know the answer to the 2-game slate is like somehow the guy who leads the Chiefs in routes run is going to be like the 6th most owned wide receiver of the slate. Neil, I've never seen ownership projections like this 5, in my life.
Right, 5,000 too. Talking about Xavier Worthy, right?
Yeah. I've never seen such a thing in my life.
Is Hollywood going to play?
He is.
Yeah, but his snaps are coming out of Juju's pie, I think.
Okay,
that's my read.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun 2-game slate.
No, these are gonna be some of the most offensive games you've ever gone away from your family to watch.
That is also true.
They're gonna be so bad.
Yeah, I did the primetime Paloozas on Underdog where it included the Thursday night game. I just loaded up on the Thursday night game. Of course, that did not go well for me at all because I was like, I'm all in on Ladd McConkey and Cortland Sutton, and they just and then Javonte Williams was like my highest owned running back because I was like, this could be just gross, but doesn't matter because I was gross too. But yeah, I think this could be a kind of disgusting 2-game slate.
Correct.
Any other subs? So you brought up JSN as kind of a low owned play. Any other like 5-ish% or lower owned plays that you guys really like? I like Barkley Call. Yep. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think is projected for right around like 5% ownership.
Oh yeah,
love that one.
If
Bowers isn't going to be that much above it.
True.
No, probably below 10%. How about Brian Robinson Jr.? If you're looking to get Brian Robinson Jr. and Jalen Coker, you can literally just press optimize and play that team. Like you could just play all the highest projected players around them.
Yeah, although some computers will actually lock out the optimize button once you put those players in there.
Yeah, Coker, that's a bridge too far, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown projecting for sub 5%. We talked about Jefferson.
I like that call. Yeah.
Yeah, Jefferson is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Kyron, I don't think I get to Kyron, but like he's an objectively good play.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
All right, I think that's going to do it for the Week 16 DFS MVP. Where can people find you guys, or can they find what other work do you have coming up the rest of the weekend?
You can check all my stuff at youtube.com/@Davis_Mattek.
LegendaryUpside.com for me. Got the walkthrough up. The Saturday slate is all above the paywall. And then the Lions Bears also above the paywall, since Jahmyr Gibbs was the cover boy. And we've got the sidekick if you do want to play off best ball stuff. We have that live for DraftKings as the beta version right now. So hop in the Legendary Upside Discord, and we'll get you set up with the beta for DraftKings. That's going to launch in full soon, but just ironing a couple things out first. But yeah, lots of good playoff best ball content. We'll have more on the YouTube channel, Legendary Upside, as well.
Very nice, very nice. I of course have my tournament article is up at 4for4 on the homepage, 4for4.com. I will also be getting my cash game article out here, hopefully tonight at some point. And then of course I don't know what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. I want to get something out for the 2-game slate. Not sure when I'm going to find the time to do so. And then of course Sunday Night Football, all that kind of stuff. You can find me the Flannelverse YouTube channel. And of course, Davis Mattek at Davis Mattek on the socials, Pat Kerrane at Pat Kerrane on the socials. I am at Player Q DFS on the socials. We are going to be back here. I think next week is, our last episode of this show. So we should see you next Friday for that one. Thank you all for hanging out with us, and we will catch you next week.